Good.
You look great.
Okay, we're recording.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, there's Mom.
Okay.
We're going to do a quick interview here with my dad, who has just got his book has been published, and it's a story about his life, and it's called Plan V. And Dad, if you get a minute, why don't you tell him about the story of my brother Paul and his first communion?
Wow. First of all, you have to remember that I haven't been in church in something like 20 years. I had a kind of a bad problem and I kind of backed away. But your brother was turning 7 or 8 or 9 years old, and it was time for him to make his first Holy Communion. I think it was on a Sunday. So we had a bunch of people come over to the house, all getting ready to go to church. As we were leaving, we actually saw you waving by the picture window. Figured everybody was in the car except you, so we had to stop and put you in the car.
I didn't want to go to church either.
All the way to the church, I was hoping that I could sit in the back seat of the church so that I never knew when you're supposed to stand or when you're supposed to pray or when you're supposed to kneel or sit. So I felt by being in the last row that I could always follow what the other people did and try to get through the ceremony. We got to the church, and I didn't realize, but they had the first pew all the way at the front, right in front of the altar. They had that one blocked off with a big white bow. And when we walked in with your brother, they says, "Oh, you got to come all the way and sit in the front row." And that was my worst fear, trying to, what the heck, I'm right in front of the altar. I don't know when the people are standing, when are they sitting, what are they kneeling? So my body was just totally one big nerve. So we sat there and they started the procession with the going through this mass, and I was trying to like sneak glimpses to my left and to my right. Are they sitting? Are they standing? Are they kneeling? Not even knowing what part of the ceremony we were going through. And probably after a half hour, I was starting to get comfortable because I could sneak a look. Okay, they're sitting. So I was going to sit now. Are they kneeling? Yeah, okay, I'll kneel. And I was feeling a little bit more relaxed when at some point they kind of stopped everything. And this guy come walking from the side, from one of these side offices of the church there, and he walked right up to me in my pew, and I'm sitting on the end, and he says, "It's time to take the gifts to the altar." I was totally shocked. I had bought your brother these little miniature golf clubs. They were like about 2.5 feet tall, because he was only like 8 years old, and I left the Fargan golf clubs home. And here this guy wants me to bring the gifts to the altar. And I told him, I bought these golf clubs for him, but I left them home. And then one of the members of our party, who hadn't been to church in about 30 years, he tells this guy, "Well, if you want, I could go home and get the golf clubs." And that's when I think one of Nancy's sisters kind of saved it and says, "No, they mean you got to bring the little oil and vinegar or whatever them little bottles are up to the altar." So I wasn't slightly embarrassed, but one of Nancy's sisters did the thing, and a couple, and they brought up these little bottles. And I said, "Oh man, I felt really stupid." And I said, "I ain't ever going to look that stupid." And we got through that part where they were giving a communion. I realized that was the communion part. I didn't realize that. Then we got through the whole Mass. The priest left the altar, and I didn't know that the people in the front row are supposed to be the first ones to walk out of the church. So I'm trying to look to the side, and nobody's moving. The church is like totally quiet. All the people in rows 2 to 50, whatever it is, were waiting for me to make the first move, and I wasn't going to move until they did. So it lasted, it was about like a Mexican standoff for maybe like about 5 minutes, and then people in rows 3 and 4 figured they might have thought I was there for like another Mass or something. So they started leaving, and then when I saw them get up and walk out, I started walking out. So that day, I really felt like a fool twice. But we got through it. I hope the good Lord, I hope He forgives me, because that's a little bit how my life went.
Well, make sure there's more stories in the book, Plan V. Please hit the link below and buy one. Thanks.